one of the pivotal moments during my incarceration that really helped me turn things around. I was in solitary confinement at the time for what turned out to be 4.5 years. And it was, one of those days where I was really in desperate need to hear from somebody from, my family, from the communities, kind of beat down with being locked down 23 hours a day. I grew up on the east side of Detroit. My mother struggled with some issues from her past, and she basically took that out on me and my siblings. And so I ran away. As a 14-year-old, I really thought that somebody would say, here's this kid that all he needs is just a little bit of love and nurturing. And unfortunately, that never happened. Within a few weeks of running away from home, I found myself being seduced into what we now know as the crack cocaine trade. I was shot multiple times standing on the corner of my block. And I went to the hospital, I got patched up. They extracted bullets from my body, left one end, which I still have to this day. I began to carry a gun every day. And it's by far one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. But at the time, at 17 years old, having just been shot, it felt like the right decision to make. I felt myself getting closer to that moment when I would eventually pull the trigger. And 16 months later, that's what happened. Mail call was kind of like that time of the day where everything in solitary kind of got quiet as people were hoping and waiting in anticipation of hearing from a loved one. There was this letter that I received from my son, who was around 10 or so at the time. When I opened the letter, in the top right-hand corner, it said, "My mom told me why you're in jail because of murder. Don't kill Dad, please, that is a sin. Jesus watches what you do. Pray to him." Those words coming from my son stopped me cold, because I realized that not only had I devastated the family with my decision that night, my son was going to grow up to see me as a monster, and I knew I had to do something to ensure that that wasn't the case. So I began to journal, and I began to ask myself the hard questions, and I began to unpack that baggage. And I eventually wrote 2.5 books while I was in solitary. And prior to getting out of prison, I had finished a total of 4 books. In June 2010, I walked out of prison for the first time after serving 19 years. I had in essence served half of my life inside and half of my life outside. 2011, my youngest son was born, and I was blessed with this amazing opportunity to experience fatherhood hands-on in a meaningful way for the first time in my life. Both of my sons now have been able to see what it looks like to turn things around.
What?
Oh, this is an epic train.
Yeah, this is an epic train, but we got one problem.
Yes.
Problem solved? How will we get this train off? So...